Well, a couple of switchbacks, and I've reached the top of the pinnacle. And you can see the pinnacle that I was looking up at the top of over there in the sun, along with this little higher point right here in the shade. And it's a great view from up here, although limited by the trees. But I looked, and while I'm sure there are people that walk out there, I mean, I can see that people walk out there. It is very steep and very precarious out there, and I'm not going out there. I don't see that there's any real reason to go through the risk. There's a very slick, steep section of rock face I had to climb just to get to here on the trail, and I got to get back down that, and I may end up sliding down that little section. Should be fine. Even if I do, I might scrape myself a little bit is the worst I'll do, I figure, but it's all right. I got up here, I'll be able to get down here. I just got to be careful on the trip back down. But I think I'm at the top of the pinnacles, and while it looks like the trail continues here, and I'm going to go into the shade here, it definitely looks like it continues. I don't see any indication of more pinnacles. I just see the very steep slope of the mountainside here. As I come up here to where I can look, it's much less of a trail now. So while there is a trail going up here some more, looks like a water trail coming down that way. I'm inclined to say that this is an unofficial trail as it continues up the side of the mountain into the wilderness. So those who want to go that way can go that way, but I think I've reached the end of the trail, and I'm happy with getting this far. Is it possible there are more pinnacles up there? Sure, it's possible. Got to be a lot of climbing and a lot of distance to go to find them. And I don't think that was the intention here. I think I've reached as far as I was supposed to go for the 3/4 of a mile trail. Because I think if I continued on here, I'd be going a lot more than 3/4 of a mile. It took me about an hour to get up here with some stops to photograph. So 800-foot climb with stops to photograph on 3/4 of a mile in an hour's time, that doesn't sound too unreasonable. So I'm gonna quit here and head back down. But boy, it was a heck of a sight up here, seeing these pinnacles. Didn't know what to expect, didn't know what I was gonna see, but boy, this is not a common trail, not a lot of people on it, very little places to park. I mean, if you got a lot of people on this trail, the parking would be a nightmare down below, because there's no parking lot set up for this trail. It's right on a residential street, and you just got to find pull-offs on that street to park in without blocking somebody's driveway. And believe me, you block someone's driveway, you'll probably come back down to find your car's been towed. I think people made that mistake enough times that the residents don't put up with it anymore. At least that would be my assessment. But anyway, I'm just looking down at the switchback here. I mean, I go down to there, I switch back down to there, and then I switch back down some more, and the trail goes way down there. It's a steep trail. And they said the last 1/4 of a mile was a scrabble, and I can believe it. Now, it doesn't look as much of a scrabble going here, but it's going to have to switch back up this mountain if it's going to continue to climb it. And I'm not going that way. I'm more than happy with what I've seen up to here. So I'm heading back down the mountain. And as I said, it's a steep mountain at this point. So I'm not going to try to film it while I'm doing this. I'm going to be putting my camera away. I think I'm going to... my cell phone away, I should say. I think I'm going to actually put my camera back in my backpack just so I don't have it bouncing around as I traverse some of the steeper and slicker sections of the the trail here until I get back down to areas that are a little easier to handle hiking on. But yeah, it's a rough climb up here. If you're not an experienced climber, I would not recommend trying to get up here as one of your first climbs. You need to get a little experience before you try a hike like this one. Now, I would say, as far as difficulty, it's difficult. They call it, I think they called it most difficult. And it is a difficult hike. Short hike, but a difficult hike. But as far as trying to get up here, if you're not experienced with hiking, I would say you want to get out on some other trails before you try a trail like this one. It's worth getting up here, but if you've never climbed a steep mountain trail before, you're going to get into some things you're not used to, and this might not be the best trail to learn a few things on. It'd be better to learn on other trails. The Ramona Falls trail I was on yesterday isn't too far from here. That's 7 miles round trip. That'll give you a good introduction to hiking on trails. Nothing really difficult on that one at all. It's just long. Then if you want a shorter trail, the top spur was only a half-mile up to the Pacific Crest Trail. And that's pretty much straight up and straight down for a half-mile. It's only 300-foot climb, but that'll give you a good challenge. And if you can't handle that, you probably don't want to try this. So that's about all from the top of the Pinnacles. As I said, I got to go back down now, and it's going to be a steep drop back down. You just look at this area right here, right after this root. I've got about a 2 to 3 foot drop on a very steep slope of rock before I get back down to trail. Oh, there's a little bit of a trail to the side of it. But I took a video while I was climbing up beside these Pinnacles on a steep section of the trail. It's a tough climb. I'm not going to joke about it. But well worth doing if you're used to climbing and hiking.